Duran Duran on a Friday afternoon. It's Wild Boys. 6TR, the bright side of Staffordshire. Going over to the telephones right now. We've got a very special guest. At home, a number of miles away, on the line right now, we've got Uri Geller. Hello, Uri.
Hey, Terry. Thank you very much. Yes, I am in Israel. Actually, I live in Old Jaffa. And I'm looking out of my window and I can see the Mediterranean and palm trees and a church, even a mosque. It's an incredible place. And we came back to live in Israel after, I would say, 47 years of living abroad.
Yes, including in England. You lived quite a long time in England.
Yes. We lived, as a matter of fact, the largest part of my life, we lived in England for 33 years.
Brilliant.
And the move here was a big step because we loved our village. We lived in Sonning-on-Thames, which is a lovely, magical village on the banks of the River Thames. And my children, grew up there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is hard to believe, but I'm 45. For my whole life, for over 4 decades, you've been in the public realm, on TV, etc. That's just phenomenal that, that long has passed.
Well, Terry, it's interesting because I kind of knew how to reinvent myself throughout the decades. I remember, 45 years ago, I called myself a psychic, and then I called myself a paranormalist, and now I'm a mystifier. But there's always something very interesting and strange in my life, and I'm very open and I'm shamelessly saying it, that kind of catapults me back into the newspapers and the media, television, whether it's the paranormal powers or my, for instance, relationship with Michael Jackson, or the latest reports were all over the world about the CIA, all the secret tests and films that they did with me in the early 70s were just revealed 4 months ago. And that was quite stunning, and the media grabbed on that. And actually you can see it on my website, which is urigeller.com. So longevity is interesting because I'm not a singer, I'm not a sports person, I'm not a politician. So it's quite hard to stay in public eye and the public domain, but I managed to survive.
Yes. Well, those CIA tests, interesting you mentioned that. They concluded that you demonstrated paranormal abilities in a convincing manner in the 70s, and these tests have come to light this year. How did that come about? Did they approach you to sort of put these tests together? Why did it happen?
Well, it happened like this. First of all, throughout the decades, I kind of let out a drip after drip about my secret work, but I couldn't really reveal everything. So when I wrote my books, I said, well, yes, I've done some secret work and so on. But about 3.5 years ago, the BBC decided to expose my secret life as a secret agent or a spy, and they came out with a very powerful documentary called The Secret Life of Uri Geller, which was directed by an Oscar-winning director called Vikram Jayanti, in which they interviewed CIA agents, ex-CIA agents, and they very openly said, yes, we've tested Uri. And but it was still secret, it was just hearsay. And then about a year ago, the CIA, to the best of my recollection and my knowledge, were sued by a group that is for freedom of information. And they kind of pressed the CIA to reveal not only about me, but about all kinds of interesting paranormal areas like UFOs and so forth. And the CIA, they decided to let it out. And the day it came out, I woke up here in Old Jaffa, and I always read the BBC News, and I look at Sky News, and suddenly I see, my gosh, my name was everywhere.
Yeah.
And it got attention worldwide. because those tests were under laboratory-controlled conditions. Remember, Terry, I'm very controversial. There are a lot of people who attacked me throughout the years. They said, oh, it's all trickery and it's sleight of hand and chemicals and bugs in my teeth, transmitters in my teeth, and so forth. But under controlled conditions, under those laboratory controlled conditions at Stanford Research Institute in Palo Alto, California, no one can cheat. It's foolproof. And that's why it gave me a very powerful scientific backing, these tests that were just revealed by the CIA.
Yeah, and one thing they asked you to do was, somebody was on the end of a telephone, we're talking an old telephone, not a mobile phone, and they asked you to, they drew something on a piece of paper and you had to draw the same thing? And
yes, we did that. I had a series of drawings, but I know 2 times was a very kind of convincing. A CIA agent called Kit Green was sitting in Langley, Virginia, which is the headquarters of the CIA, and the scientist, and remember, those times, 1973, 4, 5, there are no mobile phones, there is no Facebook, there is no internet, there is no time phase. So it's just an old-fashioned phone. And the scientists who were testing me told Kit Green, CIA agent scientist, high official, that I'm next to them and I can see things afar. And he said, no, he can't. And they said, well, Uri Geller is next to us, here he is. And they handed me the phone. And Kit Green, all the way thousands of kilometers away in Langley, Virginia, says to me, well, let me test you. I'm holding something in my hand. Can you tell me what it is? And I kind of shut my eyes and I saw scrambled eggs. I drew them. And then I also got the word architectural coming in very strongly. So I wrote with my thick marker on the page in Palo Alto, California, in architectural, and I drew the scrambled eggs. And then those scientists sent Kit Green the drawing, and he kind of freaked out because he was holding a book that had a cutaway of the brain, which looked like scrambled eggs, but he himself wrote on that page with a black marker the word architectural. He was preparing for a lecture about archaeological warfare and bacteriological warfare. Yeah. And that was it. And another time, the head of the CIA, Bill Casey, called me up. I was in Stamford, Connecticut, and he asked me to tell him what he was holding in his hand, and I was correct. He was holding a dagger, and I described the dagger correctly.
Wow. And of course, you've been asked to fix watches and clocks, and you've done that on TV and on radio before, and people have come back to you later saying this watch hasn't worked for many years. But fast forward now, we're in a digital age, and obviously not a lot of people have got wind-up watches. Do you get people trying to get you fixing digital watches and smartphones?
Yeah, I mean, I could do a very brief experiment with you, Terry, and your listeners. Why don't we do this if we have another two minutes? Everybody at home who is listening to us, go quickly grab something that is not working at home, like, I don't know, a laptop, a telephone, a mobile phone, a broken watch, an old one, maybe your grandfather's, your grandmother's. Bring them quickly to the radio. Now, you people driving cars, don't take your eyes off the road, but if you have something in the car that is broken, focus your mind on it. And Terry, let's give everyone about a minute to bring these broken appliances and broken watches, and then I'll conduct a very quick experiment with you. And if you wish, or if you can, give out the telephone number, and people will be calling you, or give out your email or your Facebook, whatever, because you want to hear the reaction of people at home who tell you what happened to them. Is that all right with you, Terry?
Yes, that's perfect. We can carry on with the questions while people go and find out, things in the house that they might need fixing. But that's a brilliant idea, an absolutely brilliant idea. So let's talk a little bit about football, because you've been connected to football in a few ways. About 20 years ago, you supported Exeter City. And I was wondering, would you like a new team to support?
You're funny. Well, look, I live here in Israel, so we love football. My wife Hannah is an expert in football. She knows names of players I don't, and we watch football. But Having said that, and since you brought up football, on my website, urigeller.com, you will also find the clip where I move the ball away with my mind from a helicopter over Wembley, circulating Wembley. We're not allowed to fly over Wembley, when England played Scotland. So England weren't sure that they're going to beat Scotland, so they got me to sit in a helicopter. I had my headphones on, and when I heard that Gary McAllister, who was a Scottish striker, got a penalty, I heard everything in the headphone, and I said 1, 2, 3. I shouted out 1, 2, 3. And when Gary McAllister ran up to take the kick, the ball moved away from his foot. I mean, you can actually see it move away. So this is balls don't move away from penalty spots. And I got thousands of hate letters from Scotland after he missed. Seaman caught the ball, England won, and I got thousands of hate letters from Scotland.
I can imagine.
So I urge you to watch that clip. I was so upset with what I did because it was highly unethical. You can inspire or motivate a team, but to actually move a ball away from the penalty spot is not the right method to make a team win. Anyhow, so I then went out and bought an island in Scotland, and so I now feel that I'm okay with them.
You made your peace with Scotland, yeah. So
exactly. The island is called Lamb Island, and it's very mysterious because I believe there is Egyptian. I know this sounds very far out and kind of paranormal, but I believe there is Egyptian treasure buried on my island, on Lamb Island, which is off North Berwick, near Edinburgh.
Wow, it's so many things going on still in your life, Uri. Of course, I can't get you on the phone and not talk about spoon bending. It's a thing you've done on TV so many times, and you've proved that you can bend these spoons. But the one question I keep getting asked, and you've probably answered it a million times, is why not a fork? Why a spoon? That's what people keep asking me.
By the way, since you brought up spoons, you people at home listening to us, if you have a few spoons or keys, grab them. Also bring them to the radio because a spoon might bend. And no, that's not true. As a matter of fact, the first show that launched my career was David Dimbleby. It was a BBC. It was huge. It was 20 million viewers, and he handed me a fork. So it was actually a fork that I bent and melted for the first time. And that was in 1973, and I bet with you that many of you listeners now say, oh yeah, I remember that show. Yeah. My watch started, my spoon bent. But Terry, do you want to conduct the experiment now?
Yes, we'd love to.
It'll take me about a minute.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds a bit quirky, but it's kind of light. It's a light kind of experiment where everything might happen. And here we go. When I say 1, 2, 3, I want everybody at home, including you, Terry, to shout out the word work. Okay. We're trying to fix those broken watches, broken house appliances, whatever you have not working. We'll do it 3 times, and then we'll shout 1, 2, 3, bend, and let's see if a spoon bends. If you place a spoon on the radio, it might leap off. Okay. Don't worry, don't be scared if it jumps off, because that does happen. So here we go, Terry. Okay. We do it 3 times.
I've got Dan in the studio, he's got a spoon. Okay, so...
Okay, here we go, for the watches. 1, 2, 3, work!
Work.
Come on, Terry. Louder, more passion.
Okay.
Again, 1, 2, 3,
work!
That's great. One last time. 1, 2, 3, work! Now, everybody at home, look at the watches if you were holding them. Although they're broken, wind them up because maybe they're fixed now, but they're unwound. Wind them up and look at the second hand. Did it start ticking? Is it moving? If you don't have a second hand, put the watch or the clock to your ear. Listen. Is it ticking? Now, if nothing happened to you, don't be disappointed because this doesn't happen to everyone. It doesn't happen all the time. But if your watch is working or if something happened in your home, please let Terry know. Terry, how do people get to you?
Yes, well, they can email studio@sixtowns.co.uk or get us on Twitter @sixtownsradio. They're probably the easiest two methods straight away, so we can get that feedback, and I can send it back off to your agent and let you know how it goes.
Yeah, send it to me. My email address is on my website. By the way, any of your listeners, if you want to email me or ask me a question, get on urigeller.com, find my email address. I get emails personally. I usually answer. I get hundreds of emails a week, and I usually answer all of them. Now, again, if nothing happened to you, don't be disappointed, but those who actually experienced the phenomenon, maybe a painting on the wall moved, maybe the lights flickered, maybe the TV went on, something really strange, bizarre, let us know, please.
Yes. Oh, please do. Well, Uri, it's been amazing talking to you today. I've just got one final question. I know that you were on I'm a Celebrity a few years ago. Is there any chance of you coming on another reality TV show, or is there any more TV shows that you're working on at the moment so we can see you on TV?
Well, it all depends, but for me to be shipped off to Australia for 3 weeks, I don't think I'll do it. But I'm working here on an amazing project. I've got a very unusual structure. It's a building that is about 2,000 years old. It hasn't been touched for 800 years, and I'm turning it into the Uri Geller Museum. If you remember my Cadillac with the 3,000 spoons, and I've got very interesting things like from David Bowie, Salvador Dali. I've got the couch, the sofa that Michael Jackson sat on when he was our best man. It's going to be a very unusual museum. So any of your listeners, if you ever come to Israel, to Old Jaffa, about a year from now, or maybe a year and a quarter from now, I'll be finished with the refurbishments. I'll place all these amazing things that I've collected for 50 years, and I think you'll all be quite stunned.
Oh, I'll be there on the press night. I'll be there.
It'll be great, Terry, if you come. So listen, lots of love to you. God bless you all. And I'm sending you lots of very powerful, positive energy from Israel.
Beautiful. Like I say, you've got your skeptics. We got you on the radio today to talk about you because we're intrigued. We love what you've done on TV. Thank you very much, Uri Geller.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye-bye. You take care. Have a great day.
Bye.